Darren had never believed in hauntings. He was a numbers guy, an accountant, logical and quiet. The kind of man who solved problems by isolating variables. So when he moved to a smaller town after his divorce, the last thing on his mind was fear. He just needed a place to store things, furniture, boxes of paperwork, a few remnants from a marriage that no longer existed. He found Hollow Pines Storage, a cheap facility on the edge of town. Faded sign, flickering lights, but it was open 24/7 and only $40 a month. He was assigned Unit 73. The first time he opened it, the air that rushed out was colder than it should have been, like opening a freezer. It smelled faintly metallic with an undertone of something sour, maybe mildew. He figured it had been closed for years. Inside was just space, empty concrete floor, scuffed walls, one flickering ceiling bulb. He moved in 3 boxes that day and closed the unit, but that night he woke up gasping, not from a nightmare, from a smell. Metal like blood, and something else like old paper and burned photographs. He checked his apartment, nothing. But then he turned on the lights in the hallway. He saw it. His wedding photo, half burned, lying on the floor. He hadn't taken it out of the box. The next morning, he drove to the storage unit to check. The lock was fine, untouched. But when he opened the door, there was a 4th box sitting inside, unlabeled, old, covered in dust and water stains. He hadn't put it there. Curious, he opened it. Inside were items he didn't recognize. A child's shoe, soaked through and cold, a broken ceramic teacup, a VHS tape with no label, a photograph of a house he'd never seen before. In the corner of the photo, scrawled in faded ink, "Bring it back." He took the tape home. He didn't even own a VCR, but that night he dreamed of static, a TV screen blurring between channels, cutting to a hallway, and then a figure, a woman, bald, her face wrapped in cloth. She stood still, then jerked forward. Darren woke up screaming. That morning he bought a VCR from a thrift store. When he played the tape, it was worse than the dream. Grainy footage of a room, dark, one bare bulb swinging, a mattress on the floor, stains on the walls, and a man, not moving, tied up. Then the camera turned as if held by someone breathing hard. The tape cut to static. Darren vomited in his sink. He took the tape back to Unit 73 to throw it away. But when he opened the unit, it was no longer empty. The walls had writing now, scratched in with something sharp, overlapping words in a dozen different hands. "Not mine. I didn't take her. She is not sleeping. Stop looking." He stepped inside, heart racing. The floor was wet. The bulb overhead flickered, then popped, plunging everything into shadow, and from the corner of the unit he heard a whisper, "Close, too close. Do you remember me now?" He turned and ran, slamming the door shut, called the police. When they arrived, the unit was spotless. No fourth box, no writing. They laughed, said maybe he was stressed, offered to file a wellness check. Darren moved his things out the next day, but it followed him. His bedroom mirror fogged up on its own. He heard breathing through the keyholes, and each morning new items appeared in his kitchen drawers. A child's sock, a bent spoon, a cracked watch ticking backward. The worst came 2 weeks later. He woke up outside in his car, parked in front of the house from the photo. The lawn was dead, the windows broken, the front door half open. Inside he found a mattress, the same one from the tape, and something was written on the wall in thick black marker. "You left me here." He was alone, but from the next room he heard a girl humming. A child's voice, off-key, familiar. He left the town that day, disconnected his phone, closed all accounts. But no matter where he moved, New Mexico, Oregon, Kansas, the smell found him. The boxes reappeared, so did the humming. Always just behind the walls. Darren was last seen muttering to himself in a library in Arkansas, asking for VCR tapes without faces. The authorities cleared out his last apartment. In the closet was a single box. Inside was a wedding photo, his, and next to it, a VHS tape with no label. Evan wasn't superstitious. He was an indie filmmaker obsessed with one thing: finding the perfect story. After a string of rejections and financial losses, he needed a win. A friend in Romania sent him something he thought might help him: an unproduced script written in the 1930s, discovered in a church basement near a burned-down asylum. No title, no author, just a stamp on the back. Ad duces veritatem, Latin for the lead to the truth. He thought it was perfect. The script was handwritten, dozens of yellowed pages, stained at the edges, with stage directions written like confessions. No traditional structure. It read like a monologue from someone descending into madness. At first glance, it seemed unusable. But the more Evan read, the more obsessed he became. He stopped writing his own material. He stopped sleeping. He started hearing things at night, someone whispering his name from inside his apartment walls. Still, he didn't stop. He began rehearsing the lines alone in his living room, performing them in front of a mirror. The words didn't make sense, but they felt powerful. They made him tremble. By the end of the week, he had recorded himself reading the entire script. He played the audio back to take notes, but something was off. His voice wasn't alone. In the background, he heard breathing, deep and wet. Then, at exactly 23 minutes and 44 seconds into the recording, someone whispered in a voice not his own, "Don't stop now, Evan." He deleted the file immediately. That night, the lights began to flicker, his mirrors warped, as if something behind them was pressing forward. The floor creaked in the kitchen, even though he lived alone. Then came the dreams. He stood on a stage in an old theater, lights burning above, audience empty. Something stood behind the curtains, watching, breathing. He'd wake up drenched in sweat, only to find himself sleep-talking the script, word for word. By day 10, Evan's apartment had changed. The windows no longer showed daylight. His reflection began delaying, reacting a half-second slower than him. And worse, his voice was changing. When he spoke, it echoed slightly, as if someone were speaking in sync with him from inside his chest. He tried to burn the script, but the pages wouldn't catch. He poured lighter fluid on them, struck a match, but the flames curved away, refusing to touch the paper. The script remained cold and damp, even when submerged in boiling water. On day 12, he went to a linguistics professor at a local university to identify some phrases in the script. The professor read just 3 lines and vomited blood across the table. She never spoke again. Evan stopped going outside. He began taping the pages of the script across his walls, forming a mosaic. He followed them with his fingers as if reading scripture. Sometimes he'd stop and start laughing. By day 14, Evan uploaded a video to his old YouTube channel. It was 44 seconds long. It showed him staring into the camera, smiling slightly. Then he spoke a single line from the script, one that hadn't appeared in any of the previous versions. Now you've heard it too. Anyone who watched the video reported the same symptoms: headaches, nosebleeds, vivid dreams of drowning, and the inability to stop thinking about Evan's eyes. Because in the video, his pupils were vertical like a goat or something worse. On day 16, his neighbor called the police. She said she heard chanting, low, guttural, non-human, and scratching from inside Evan's apartment. When they broke the door down, Evan was gone, but something else was there. Every wall, every surface was covered in handwritten pages. The original script multiplied, rewritten hundreds of times in charcoal and fingernail scratches. Blood was mixed with ink. On the floor was a circle of ashes, and in the center, one phrase: "The script is the body, the actor is the vessel." No one knows where Evan went, but for weeks afterward, his video still spread. Every copy deleted seemed to reappear somewhere else. Reddit threads, Discord servers, USBs showing up in people's mailboxes. And those who watched the full clip, they began reciting the lines too, in their sleep, in their showers, in languages they had never learned. Possession doesn't always come through Ouija boards or dark rituals. Sometimes it's just a story. Read out loud, heard, believed. No one buried their dead in Hollow Bridge Cemetery anymore. Not for the last 70 years. The ground was too soft, too waterlogged, and according to town whispers, it refused to keep the dead inside. It was quiet land, fenced with rusting iron, the kind of place people avoided after sunset, even the drunk ones. But Levi didn't believe in whispers. He was a drone photographer, a YouTube content creator. Paranormal videos were trendy again, cemeteries, haunted barns, urban legends. His channel had been dying lately and he needed something to bring it back. So when a follower sent him a tip about Hollow Bridge and the Gravedirt curse, he knew exactly what he had to do. He packed a drone, 3 cameras, a handheld mic, and drove 6 hours through rain to reach it. He arrived just before dusk. Fog clung to the earth like something alive. There were no gates, just a leaning sign, half swallowed by moss. Hollow Bridge Cemetery, 1841. He filmed his entry, panning across the graves, old, sunken headstones, some cracked, some tilting, and some completely missing. He set the drone up first, sent it up for a wide aerial shot. The drone hovered above the cemetery, then twitched. The live feed stuttered, glitched. Then the screen went black. Levi cursed and reset the controller. The drone was still up there. He could hear its blades, but the footage wouldn't come back. Frustrated, he began walking through the graveyard on foot, holding the mic to his mouth, narrating in a confident tone. Legend says this land rejects the dead, that the soil exhales bodies after dark. He laughed quietly to himself. His breath was visible now. The air had turned sharp. He stepped past a large stone across where the earth dipped slightly. A natural sinkhole, perhaps, but as he pointed his flashlight toward it, he saw something that made his hand tremble. Fingernails, just the tips. Protruding from the dirt, fresh, not fossilized, pinkish, clawed. He stepped back, blinked, gone. The ground was undisturbed. He chuckled, nervously, mind playing tricks, but his camera had kept rolling. When he replayed the footage, his laugh died in his throat. There it was, clearly, a hand reaching up, twitching, then vanishing as if swallowed again. He should have left, but the views, the virality, the fame. he stayed. He walked deeper in where the stones were older. Some bore no names, just Roman numerals. One had his own last name, Moore. It looked freshly carved. "That's not possible," he whispered. His flashlight flickered. Then from the distance he heard the drone crash. He found it 20 feet away, broken in half, near an unmarked grave. No wind, no birds, no sound, just stillness. Until he turned to leave and the earth shifted. Behind him he heard the soil break open, a wet, sucking sound. He spun around and saw a mound rise slowly. Then another, and another. The graves were breathing, and from them figures emerged. Not skeletons, not zombies, but people. Normal-looking people. Faces unscarred, eyes open, blinking. One looked just like him. His own face, same coat, same height. The double smiled. "You came to film the dead," it said. "So we filmed you." Then everything went black. He woke up in the cemetery, alone. Morning had broken, the fog was gone, birds chirped. His drone was gone, so were his cameras. But his car was still there. He left immediately. Back home, he told himself it was a hallucination, sleep deprivation, nerves, until a week later someone tagged him in a Reddit post. The title, "Influencer Caught Faking Graveyard Haunting, Actual Footage Here." He clicked the link. It was him, same jacket, same voice. But in the video, he was digging, laughing, standing in a grave up to his chest. "I'm going home now," he said to the camera, waving. Then calmly, he buried himself. The shovel kept moving long after he disappeared into the hole. The video ended. Levi hadn't filmed it. He didn't remember it. And yet, it was everywhere. Shared, copied, downloaded. In every upload, at the very end, right before the clip fades to black, the screen flashes a frame. 1 second only. Just enough to read. "Hollow bridges never bury strangers. Only replacements."